Okay, well, that was a little embarrassing, but ran out of storage. But the video ended right about here, and I'll come back and do plenty more layers on these, and follow my value guide here. And I'm going to shift to the inside of the bowl, and it's going to be a series of layers, starting with a very light layer, for example that one or that one, and then the color that's over here on the side of the bowl that's receiving more light. So let's see, I'm just going to use my nickel azo yellow for this one and go pretty watery. And it's a big shape, so I could either start with just water, but usually I start with the lightest value of something I know I'm gonna want in the whole shape after the whole thing is said and done. And might not be quite enough. Yeah, probably. We'll just have a go here. So instead of just sort of starting off with water and then starting to add, I'll start with probably a little bit lighter version of what I know it's going to end up as. And part of all this is really kind of knowing where, or having an idea where it's going to end up. And that really has to do with the values. Yeah, it has to do with the color too, but more the values. And as long as I know that, it's a little bit easier to make different color choices on the fly if I feel like it. This particular study I'm keeping nice and consistent. I know I will be getting eventually quite a bit darker, so I'm going to squeeze in a little bit of color, a little bit darker color down on the left half of the inside of the bowl. And this is really nice paper. This is Arches 300 pound. It's the bright white cold press, and it's just very forgiving as far as, well, all sorts of things, but in this particular case, the fact that that whole shape is going to stay pretty wet for a good amount of time, and I'll be able to, you know, shift around, add some more wet color, and not have the whole shape. It'll dry evenly. It's a lot more forgiving, and letting things dry evenly. So let's see, that's a good first one for that. I know I'm gonna, like I said, do several layers. Let's see. How about if we come back and start doing some more on these guys? I think I'm going to start off with literally just this middle one, because I know that's going to need to, it's going to need to be darker, as well as shift more towards the magenta. Probably not that much, but it's still pretty watery. And right now I'm more thinking of trying to make sure the color is kind of what I was after. So I'm just glazing on a layer of watery paint that's a little bit more leaning towards magenta than that original one, and it's visually mixing with the layer below. So that's, yeah, really where I kind of needed that first one. That has me now, well, this needs to be just a little bit darker in general, even though the hue is probably pretty close, at least for this beginning stage. Let's try something kind of like that. Pretty watery as well, but kind of trying to establish more of the accurate kind of color shift, and then I'll eventually worry about the value shift. And the temperature is shifting sort of automatically just by the selection of these two particular colors. That's making sense to me. He says. Yes, I'm going to leave that like that. I'm going to now do this one, which is getting more red, but still has a little bit of the azo yellow, nickel azo yellow. It is important to distinguish that there is a difference between azo yellow and nickel azo yellow. I don't know the specific pigment number differences, but it's a different paint, different pigment. So I think I'm just gonna, yeah. Layer that one on. That's right, this is the one that kind of gave me some challenges brush edge wise. So don't be afraid to pick up what you're painting and shift it around to get the clean edge that you want. Plenty of water, so the color will move around. I'm going to find my smaller brush and go into this shape here. I might, in fact, yeah, I'm going to keep it mostly of the Quin Magenta, but I'll mix it with a little bit of this color that has, oh man, that's nice. A wide range. Anyways, it'd be fun to do a really wide range study of these two colors. So there's a tiny bit of nickel azo yellow in there. And that's because I don't want it to be just straight quinacridone magenta. And I'm sure I'll keep sort of adjusting that as I go. And depending on how, depending sort of on how true or on how much I want to stick to my original plan or sort of change things around on the fly depending on what I learn as I keep going. I always try to stay open to something new and interesting happening. I'm going to put a tiny bit of color onto that far left shape that's not just all of the nickel azo yellow, but I want this to be pretty light. Light touch, nice soft brush, good paper, good paint. Makes layering a lot easier than than not having that stuff. Just to come back at least with this video as well to show what this side is based off, and I'm kind of starting. I'm thinking the left side's gonna. The outer bowl will be starting off sort of in this area, and then as I curve around the bowl and there's less light, I'm going to sort of shift down this way. So I'm doing this kind of thing eventually. Right now I'm just sort of really kind of building up these kinds of colors, and I think everything is at least sort of damp right now, so I'm going to just pause and let everything dry and show you the next one soon.